Okay, I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine who is failing. Oh, not even that failing, but I want to tell you a story about somebody who is doing very well and what I would advise them to do in their situation. Okay? If this interests you, keep watching, keep interacting, do all the things. So I just had a conversation with a client, a buddy, a longtime friend, a longtime colleague, and they are not doing very well. They are getting behind on their business loans. They're getting behind on their rent. They're getting behind on their utilities. They want to grow their business, but they're not doing the things. They're doing the opposite of what works. They've had help. They have had coaching. They have had influence from people. So why are they in a situation where they're not doing well? Okay, there's a few things that are going on there that they have some sort of there's a reason that they're in this situation. Could be that being in a bad situation or a struggling situation reinforces some idea or belief about themselves that somehow they aren't, I don't know. It reinforces an unconscious belief that maybe they're not worthy, maybe they're not successful, maybe they're not good enough, something, um, and they're not taking the steps, they're not taking the actions that they appear no logically work, but emotionally are not letting it happen. Instead, they're in a vicious cycle of feeling bad about what's happening. The more they feel bad, the more they're not taking the steps that they know that help them, even small steps like meditating or journaling or writing stuff down or thinking or visualizing the intended results and outcome of what they want in their life. They aren't doing the things, they are letting themselves spiral down. And I said, what are you going to do? Because you're about to lose it all. I'm not about to. It kind of seems like you are, kind of looks like you are, because you're behind on all these things. What are you going to do? What are you going to make happen? What is your next action? And I've talked to them about this already. And they're a friend and a colleague at this point. They're not like a paying coaching client, so it would be a different conversation. But I said to them today, they have been a paying and coaching client. You have learned a lot of things. You know all the things that you could be doing. Don't shit on yourself though. But you do know what those things are. You even have AI to help. And he's hit a point where that their back is hurting. And I was like, yeah, because it's trying to tell you you aren't doing the things you are. Pay attention to what's happening before it gets worse. Uh, it gets to the point where your back starts to hurt from all the stress. That he's like, yeah, I know the things. I know I need to be visualizing. I know I need to take action. I said, you also need to show up to these networking meetings. Come every week because I help you. I help people. I help you. I help the room every week. Please do not come in here. I am busy. So, anyways, I was talking to him. What are you going to do next? One of the things that we talked about was making a commitment, a declarative statement, say, this is no longer going to be who I am. Here's the thing, this person has gotten into this situation before, and it's like you didn't learn your lesson because you have gotten behind before, and you didn't learn what you needed to learn to move forward. So what does that say about you? What are you going to do differently this time? How are you going, what lessons are you going to learn? Because if you didn't learn it the last time you got in trouble, you are in a deeper place. You are going to be forced to learn it, or you're about to lose it all. And that could even affect your health. You might have to move back in with your parent. Nobody wants to do that. Now, here's the thing. I asked, do you want to do your business? Is this what you really want to do? Because you have said to me it's a vehicle to the next thing that I want to do. Okay, if it's the vehicle, why not do something else? Why not give up the business you're currently in? Because are you passionate about it? Yeah, I'm passionate about it. Okay. So do you want to keep doing this business? Because it's a lot easier to fail when you're in a small boat than it is when you are in a big boat. Because when you are in a big boat and you've reached heights, there's more responsibility with that. You know, it's a lot easier to do what? A dinghy to hit an iceberg than for the Titanic to hit the iceberg, okay? So are you sure you want to keep going in your business? Because if you do, what are you doing? What are you going to commit to? What are you going to tell me you need to do? Um, I have been your accountability partner. I'm not offering to do that now because I've helped you before and we're not doing that. I don't need, I'm good. Like I have other people and I've helped you. I'm not going to keep pulling you along. So what can you do on your own? Because I know other people have helped you. I know other people have coached you. This might all sound kind of mean. What are you going to do? So we were talking, we talked about different things. I said, some of the things that I like to do is I like to consume content that helps me. I like to consume content that is related to business. When I have the time, and at the moment there is time in my schedule that I can consume the content that I want, reading the books, following the people in business that I enjoy following, like Alex Hormozy and Layla Hormozy. I like watching Cody Sanchez. Those are the people I'm currently following. So those are people I'm reading Alex Hormozy's book, uh, $10 million offers. I started a long time ago, then I didn't finish it. I'm back to doing it right now. I have time to do those. I said when you're super busy, you wish you had time to consume. When you have lots of time because you're not super busy, you wish you were busy. So I said I have time to fit this in my schedule, so I'm going to consume as much of this as possible, which is good. Can you do something like that? Yes, I could go back to consuming the things I stopped consuming. I stopped intaking, the podcasts I stopped listening to, the books I stopped following. I love Neville Goddard. I love all his stuff. He's really helpful about visualizing going to sleep, visualizing what you want. My friend said that they had stopped doing that, and I totally get that. So when you start consuming again, you'll remember to keep that. Well, I could do it every morning. Okay, cool. But what's going to remind you? Because telling yourself you're going to do it every morning is great. But for me, it would be helpful if I was consuming their content again, and that reinforces my ideas. I also have a, I also believe highly in a component where it is, it is good to consume their content, but when you are in business, you need to take action on what you are consuming. It is good to consume it and be around it and be influenced by it, but also need to take action. So I relate that to the gym. When you work out at home, you could work out, you could consume the videos, you could have your weights and different things like that. And those are good to have at home. That's like reading a book. That's like watching a video. It's like listening to a podcast and then doing nothing. But what happens when you go to the gym? How much more work do you put in when you go to the gym? How much effort do you put in to your workouts? Do you go to the gym and then lift a few weights to be done? No, but you might at home. You might at home, you might give up sooner. You might watch a video and then give up sooner. You go to the gym, you're going to work harder. You go to the gym and you join a class. You join a fitness class related to what you're into. For girls, there's lots of fitness classes like weight. There's when I go to a gym, I don't know how many guys classes there are, but I do know there's a lot of classes that definitely appeal to a lot of women. Like yoga class, Pilates classes. There's other ones that have weights. I don't know what they're called, but there's different classes. When you do those classes, I guarantee I'm going to work harder at yoga and those classes than I do at home. On top of that, what happens when you hire a trainer, aka a coach? How much better do you get? So when you are going to the gym, that's like going to a networking meeting. You're meeting people, you're around like-minded people, you're working on your stuff, you're going to work harder stuff, you're motivated to do that stuff. When you join a class or a mastermind or group coaching, that's like joining the class at the gym. You work harder because there's people around you. There's accountability built in. There's mindset. There's like competing like with yourself and the person who's like similar, strength, similar, whatever to you, where you stand in the room makes a difference. If you're the back of the class versus the front of class, because the people in the front, they're more visible, so they're working. Now, when you hire that trainer, when you hire that coach, when you hire that one-on-one, when you are working out, they will tell you, hey, you need to adjust your posture when you do this particular pose. This to avoid injury. They will see what you cannot see. They will 10x your fitness program, your accountability, because joining that class doesn't spill over to your lifestyle. It doesn't spill over to your diet unless it does, unless you are friending people from those classes and you talk about diet and lifestyle out of that class. But if you're not friending those people, you're not talking about it. So if you are going networking, but you're not talking about the other parts of your business, you're only going doing your elevator pitch, you're only doing your introductions, you're not working on the other aspects of your business unless you are, but it helps to have those conversations. A trainer is going to talk to you about that. They might even give you referrals to how to do better at home or give you a program to follow outside of the meeting. And the more you pay, the more help you get with all those things. So it's really beneficial to be around people who are doing what you were doing. So my friend, I told him to consume some of the stuff, but what makes it important is taking actions on the things that he is learning. And right now, he is not so consumed with business that he has time to watch it, but don't just watch it. Take action. If you don't take action, what's the point? You can learn a lot of stuff and never take action. Okay? So you need to take action. Part of that action is accountability. It's part of showing up here. What are you going to do to be accountable? Are you going to show up here more? Are you going to show up to another meeting more? What are you going to do for accountability? Because I have somebody that I text my steps with every day. That is my part of my accountability, showing up here, doing videos. I also believe when you do something in your personal life for accountability, consistency, it shows up in your professional life. So I was like, where can I be in my personal life that I can commit to consistency that'll spill over into my business? And right now, I will tell you what that is. Months ago, I decided to start off, and sometimes you start small. I learned this from Atomic Habits. You start small. I started off with a promise to myself that every single morning, without fail, no matter if I felt awful, no matter if I wasn't home, or if like I was out of town, or if I didn't feel good and I felt like awful, whether I was running behind and I was late because I woke up late, I could do and I could commit to without fail, which is 5 minutes on my treadmill before I did anything else, before I went downstairs, before I did anything else. And that's how I started. And that compounded into walking outside, that compounded into doing yoga in my room, that compounded to long walks, longer walks, or evening walks, or later in the day, as long as I did that minimum of 5 minutes. And I did that for a long time before it built into more. Is there something like that where you are your own accountability? Because lots of people have helped my friend out. What can that be for you? And for him, it turned out to be 75 hard because I am not going to be his accountability partner right now. He's had accountability partner. He needs to rely on himself. He's learned all the things. He's learned a lot of lessons. He's learned a lot of different things. And he decided the 75 hard would be the thing that he could reliably do in his life. And he's done it more than once and he could keep on doing it. I said, you need something that'll keep you going, keep you motivated, that you just can commit to doing it and just keep on doing. And I have yet to fail my 5 minutes every morning. I do it, now it's more than 5 minutes. Or it's more than just 5 minute walking. It could be outside or yoga or something. But the point is, what is that for you? And that turned out to be 75 hard. That's going to think it keeps them accountable. And I said, when you do it in your personal life, that will spill over to consistency, action, commitment into your business. And if that's what you need to do, then do that. Figure that out. And I was like, how does it feel to do that? How does it feel to know that you can make that commitment to yourself? Say, I'm going to do this every day. This is just going to be my new normal. And I said, at the same time, you need to tell yourself a declarative statement that I'm no longer going to be that person I was that got behind, that I declare, draw a line in the sand, that that's never going to, that is not who I'm going to ever be ever again. That cannot be my reality ever again. And he needs to learn his lesson from why he was that way. I don't say why. Learn the lessons that you need to learn. Otherwise, whatever you don't repair, you repeat. So when he repeated it, so he didn't learn the first time, so learn it this time. So you don't repair, you repeat. So learning lessons, commit to doing something in your personal life that will spill over to your professional life and move forward. Make that declarative statement. Consume the things that are helpful and take action on them and show up in places that'll help you achieve those goals. And that is coming. I have a teenager and he just knocked on my door. I think if you have a teenager, God, I love him, right? At least I'm at the end of it. I don't know how to edit this. I hope this was helpful. That was an interruption. I don't mind my kids being in the background or my babies being in the background, but him trying to come in my room and the lock is on the wrong side of the door. It's not on this side for some reason. The lock's on that side. But if I tell him I'm doing a video, he needs to move away. So thank you for today and thank you for consuming. Please interact and say something. If you want more things like this, you know how it goes.